All right then, we're back. My polymer clay cane has been in the fridge and it should be nice and cold. And this is the extruded cane that I'm talking about, which is this guy here. And it should be nice and chilly by now, which should mean that I'm not going to distort it as much when I try to reduce it. And in my head, I've pretty much already decided that I'm going to reduce this into a square just to make it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take the whole thing and make it a triangle. For whatever reason, that idea appeals to me. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this side that has a lot of black on it. We kind of ended up with black and 3 points, so that's what I'm going to make my triangle. So I'm going to squish the top like so, and I'm going to flatten that side like so. Now I also at some point decided that I'm going to take some of the extra bits of cane, extruded, not really, it's not a complex cane because it's just little bits so far, but I have all these. And I don't want to waste them. I've already gone to the effort of putting them all out there. And I have some little bits and pieces and ends that I probably won't use, but the long ones I've decided I should probably make into something. So I put the black back through my pasta machine with the idea that I would be using it to wrap some of these things or put patterns on some of these things. Because I did find some cool stuff at the dollar store today. I found some glass plates and bowls and things like that that I'm going to decorate with canes for Christmas. And so I want to have a larger pattern that I can use, and then I want to have something to make edging with. So I will probably put some of these things together in whatever pattern, just so that I have something to make an interesting edge with. So obviously I can make this into a nice big square, like so, by putting these two together. And then putting, I never managed to put the right sides together first. So if I put that like that, and I put one more triangle one, then I will end up with a square. So do I want to have it like so? Probably. I probably just want to make that into a nice square piece, and I'm just going to squish them all together so they're kind of even and the centers are touching. Like so. That seems to have spread a little farther apart on that end. And I'm going to trim like so. And that used up pretty much the rest. No, I guess it didn't. There's one more here. So that gives me this, as you can see, like so. And I think that if I make two of these, so if I use these to make the other one, and obviously my colors aren't the same at this point because I'm using up leftovers. So this is how we're going to get some sort of interest in our pattern. We're just going to use up whatever the heck we've got, and we're going to make a nice pattern out of it. And so I'm going to use these up by putting them like so, pushing them down so they're nice and stuck, or as stuck as I can get them, and I've already put a dog hair in it. And then I'm going to put the different blue in the center. So if you can see that very well, put it in front of my light, probably works better. If you can see that very well, we now have a square piece. We're going to trim it to the length of our shortest one, like so. And then we're going to decide which way we want to put these. So I kind of like this because when I put it like that, I end up with a square in the center. Right? I could do the same with this. But yeah, kind of for whatever reason I like that. I like having that square in the center. So they're not all the same shapes. I like having some variety in my shapes. So I'm going to stick these together now, like so. And that's giving me an interesting little decorative piece. So this is where I think my black is going to come in. And because I haven't really decided on it yet, and the whole idea of this was to be reducing this guy down, I'm going to try not to get any more sidetracked than I already am. I'm just going to trim it. And I'm going to take the extra pieces apart before they become so joined at the hip that I can't. And I'm going to set this aside. At some point, I'm going to wrap part of this, or all of it, or whatever, in black. I don't know why. I know there's not really any good reason for why. Just because I like the idea of having that. And I may only wrap like one corner or opposing corners or something, just for interest's sake. So, let's see if I can get all my stuff tidied up a little bit here. My dog is already slurping in the background. There's the blues. And I'm really hopeful for this one. That's why I'm hoping that, I'm hopeful because I'm hoping. I'm hopeful because everything is a nice, precise shape right now because of the fact that it came out of the extruder. And I have to be careful because it's already sweating. The fact that it's been in the fridge and now it's humid and hot in here, and that's why I put it in the fridge. Because the heat from my hands was making it really soft. And I've had some issues lately with my canes because of that. The problem, of course, is you have to be aware that when it comes out of the fridge, suddenly it sweats. And then you go and it slides right off your glass because, as you can see, that's already wet. So I'm just trying to do a little subtle pinching here. Partly because I need to make it into a triangle, and partly because it's pushing down, which is helping create a flat side, as you can see. So I'm going to make my corners where I want them by pinching them, and I want my corner to be where the black ends. So where the black and white meet is going to be one corner. See? The black itself is going to be the other corner. It's going to be the peak of my triangle. And it's going to be a little harder to get that the shape I want, because that's a little flat, skinny piece laid on top. And if I pinch it, it keeps wanting to pop up. And then on this side, we're doing the same. I'm pinching it where the black and the white meet. And I'm making that into the third corner of my triangle. So it's getting there. So this, we're just going to start reducing like we normally would at this point. And we're going to hope for the best. And so in order to make this less boring for you, I will stop my tape right now, and when I start it up again, I will stop jabbering. And that way, with any luck, I can speed the whole thing up and save you some boredom. So here we go. We're going to turn this off and we'll be back at the end. All right, back again. So at the moment, as you can see, I haven't reduced it very small because I'm going to make it into a square. But what I have done is get it into my triangular shape, and I'm just going to trim a little slice off here before it gets too warm so we can see. There goes the dog hair again, see. Now we still have to get our points a little bit sharper, but as you can see, we have a nice pattern. And we have a nice pure looking square still in the center and there. Our other squares have distorted because we've changed our shape. But I think it's actually very interesting because we've got little bits here that are now skinny. and here that are now skinny, and these ones actually seem to have formed a V. So when we start matching our patterns, I know it's harder to, one second, harder to envision if you don't have your good pointy corners. It's going to take a second to try and get my pointy corners pointier. Now, and if you were paying attention, I don't know how much you could see when it was sped up, but because the clay is cold, because I had it in the fridge, trying to prevent a whole bunch of distortion from the warmth of my hands and the general humidity in the room, there were some cracks that I got. Mostly the white. I don't know why the white maybe is a little drier than the others, but right along the edge here I've got some cracks. So I've just smoothed them back out again. Okay. So I think I have a nicer triangular shape so we can get an idea of what the patterns will be. So we've got this, like so. And because we're symmetrical, it's going to be the same on both sides. The difference here, of course, is this is blue, green, blue, and this is green, blue, green. Right? So that's what that looks like. And we have this as part of our repeating pattern as well for now. Right? So we could put this together and make that into a square. Yeah, it's kind of boring. So we'll put one of these sides together, and then we're going to force it into a square, and that'll distort it again a certain amount. But I think it's turning out pretty cool, really. It looked neat when it started, I think. it looked pretty the way it was. But I think it's going to look a lot different now that we've distorted things and we're distorting it again. And that's going to give us more interest. See if I can get an idea. I never remember which side I want to use. So that goes pretty much 0 to 5, so 2.5 should give me more or less evenly, because it probably won't. It never seems to work out for me when I do that. But it's still better than eyeing it. Now I like the blue better than the green, so I want to make a nice big chunk of blue. So in order to make a nice big chunk of blue, I'm going to put the blue sides together, the blue centerpiece together. And I just want to match it up and give it a good push. And I'm going to trim that little bit of extra off. I got myself a new blade today, but I haven't dug it out yet. Like so. And that will give me pretty much the same length. So I'm matching up that pattern as well. And give it all a good push. So at this point, in order to make it into a square, we have to basically push these corners in opposite directions. So when we're sitting it on this side, we're going to push the tall corner over, and that pushes this side upright, if that makes any sense. So I usually put my hand against it and push that way, right? We're trying to get this upright. And then when we go the opposite way, we have to push this side over to make this upright. So this has to be upright, this has to be upright. Once they are, we're probably going to be square. It's kind of slow going, this part of it. And I should probably speed up the film again. I don't know if you can see. See, I'm changing directions when I flip it over. Whenever I get a side that's not perpendicular to the table, I'm pushing it in the opposing direction because I want to get it perpendicular to the table. And usually there's one side that sits higher than the other as well because they were on an angle to start with. So we're getting there. We're getting our square. And normally around this point I get impatient, I get out my roller and I start rolling things. And I think that's probably part of why I distort. Because that just is squishing. Instead of changing the shape, I'm squishing down my edge. So it's getting there. I'm almost level now. And I'm almost square, as you can see. This one has to go over that way a little bit more. And my cracks have come back, but I'm hoping that they will smooth out once the clay softens a little. So, how are we? Are we doing good? We've got one corner that's still kind of popped up. All right, so now it should be safe to get out my roller. So I'm going to speed the next bit up, so I will stop it, restart it, and speed it up. Alright, so I have reduced a bit. I don't want to reduce it too much because I like the size of it the way it is. Now it's still a little bit soft. I'm going to have to put it in the fridge again. But I just want to see if I can get a slice at the end so we can take a look at what's going on in there. I'm not sure what that white blob is. I think it was the opposite of that corner there. I'll try and slice the other side and see. It's kind of an uneven white blob. That's why I'm curious about what's going on with it. Oh, okay. It's probably this. So, use the end that's showing better. And this is what we've got so far. So when we put this together, we're going to have this and this. And the colors aren't fabulous. There's not a fabulous color combination. They're nice and bright. And this. And this. So each side is different. These sides, no, I guess not each side is different. Symmetrical, symmetrical. So we've got two different patterns, really. But I think it's pretty in its own way. It's kind of got that stained glass kind of a look to it. And so that's all going to go back again into the fridge and let it cool off. And I'm also going to do something with this fella. And I really do want to have part of it wrapped in black. I'm going to give it maybe a quick roll just to get it all glued together, because I do kind of have a whole bunch of weird pieces in that. Hopefully this gets all the little corners tucked into each other the way they're supposed to be. I think somehow or other I exert more pressure on one direction than in the other, because somehow I always end up with one end that looks smaller. But anyways, so I've got my black piece. I could have put some black in between some of these, but I wanted that center piece to turn into a square. I just like that idea. So I'm going to wrap some of it, but not all of it. And I'm just getting the right length, so I have something to start with. And I think I want to wrap don't want to wrap all across one side. It just seems boring that way. So I'm going to, I've lined it up so it's kind of, oh, well, now it's come undone. It's a skinny side, so it's a little hard to work with. So I'm just trying to push it down where I want it. And I want it to kind of cover half of the white. And then I'm going to lay it down and push it harder. All right. I've stretched it a wee bit doing that. And then I want to wrap it around the corner. I hope I'm staying on screen. It's kind of hard for me to tell if I'm on screen or not. And then I have to decide where I want it to stop. And I think I want it to stop halfway up the black. So I'm going to mark it on that side. And I'm going to mark it on this side about halfway. And then I'm going to match my end notches because I know the middle always bends a little bit. So I just go by the end notches because that's the only part that I can see. I didn't cut. I was afraid to cut too hard. So instead, I didn't cut enough. Or I'm just distracted by the moany dog in the background because he makes me crazy. All right. So if you can see that, we have black around the corner here. And I don't think I'm done with it yet. I want to do something on this side. So I think I'm going to put some black under that white. Excuse my head if my head pops up in the screen. I want to make sure I get it lined up nicely. All right. And I don't want that to take over the whole side of that either. So, sorry, distracted by a tiny little piece of glue in my black. So I have to decide, oh, and I pull it off. I have to decide how far up I want it to go. And this is just for visual interest. So again, I'm going to mark, probably going to do the same thing. I'm probably going to do half. I'm going to mark where half is on that side. Mark where half is on that side. Lay it flat and try to line up my halves. Why that's got that raggedy edge, I don't know, but I'm just gonna see if I can't clean it up a little. Perhaps I should stick it down first though. I really should have gotten out my new blade. I got a new blade because this one's got some issues. It's been a few years now, I suppose. It's bound to get dull at some point. There we go. So we have some black here that goes halfway around the white, or halfway across the white. We have black that goes around this corner. And I think I want one more stripe, and I'm going to just cut the stripe first and then lay it on. Because that way the size is kind of random. And I like that idea. So I'm going to cut a nice straight edge. And then I'm going to cut a random stripe. Here's my random stripe. I've got black here, I've got black here. I want to put some black here. I like the black against the white. I just think it gives a nice contrast. So I'm trying to line the black up with the edge of my white. Like so. Put my black away. And I'm going to roll this on there before it has a chance to escape. And I'm just going to do that with all the different sides. I'm just going to give it a quick roll. Make sure everything is glued down the way I want it. And I'm going to make sure also that it turns into a nice rectangle. So what this does is this distorts, or it will anyways, once I get it all nice and flat. It's going to distort the piece underneath it because in order to make this flat, this black piece will push up into the white when it's all nice and level. And that's where our interest comes from. That white piece now has a different shape than it did before. It's pretty skinny. I don't know if I'll be able to roll this side or not. All right. And I'm just going to trim my ends a little bit. Some of my black bits were a little bit long. All right. So this is our little decorative edge piece. I shouldn't have thrown that end away because I wanted to see what it looked like. So I'll have to cut another sliver. Here we go. So if we put these together, it's going to look like that. And on the opposite side, it's going to have that little black notch in the center there. And here, if we happen to do them butt up against each other, it's going to have a little black cross basically in the center of that pattern. It's kind of like a harlequin pattern, I guess. That's what it reminds me of. And I like it. And there's a little air bubble in the center from where I put those two pieces together, but that should work itself out. I hope. I hope that it works itself out. So I'm going to put this with all the other canes that I am sticking in the fridge to keep cool until I have time to do that. We have date night tomorrow, which is exciting. So I probably won't be able to get any claying done tomorrow, but I will get back with you as soon as I can. And I did buy, like I said, some cool things at the dollar store. I got myself a funky tin. It's got a plastic window in the top, and I don't know how that's going to handle the heat because I don't know what kind of plastic it is. But my theory is if I bake it, I haven't been able to pry it out. I was going to just pry it out, and then I thought, well, I have to leave it in. I'll just see what happens when I bake it. And if that part happens to melt, then I will make a nice big cane piece and inset it. And then maybe do the different pattern around the outside or something. So I got two of these. I got some wooden picture frames that I can put clay on, and I also got, what else did I get? A bowl, I think, and a couple sconces. And the sconces are the same shape as this one that I just recently did. It's kind of a nice, pleasant shape. It's not too complicated, so it's easy to wrap around. And it's just a nice size to throw a candle in. So that's going to be future Christmas presents. And I like getting a head start. So when I get that done, I will post some pictures, or I might even do a video of putting the clay on top of something and how I go about doing that. I showed a little bit of this one in my last video because this is actually canes that were left over from a necklace I was making. So these are from beads. And so I showed a little bit, or at least I explained a little bit about it. As you can see, this is translucent, so it glows in the light, which I love. So I explained the method used to put the clay on the glass, but I didn't really show it, so perhaps I'll do that as well. So come back and check on me once in a while. I'm sure there will be something interesting on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/joygillardcrafting. You can also check out some of my other goodies and stuff. I have a blog. Some of my craft stuff shows up on the blog, as well as other things. So that's on http:// and then it's survivinglifeover40.com. So check out either one. Come visit me. Drop me a line. Let me know how you like what I'm doing and any ideas you have for improvement. I would love to hear it. In the meantime, it is like 1:15 in the morning. I'm going to bed. So toodles for now. Take care.